So my name is Dana Rickson. I'm an 8th grade ELA teacher at Renew Laurel. And as Ms. Aloria said, my research was on the effects of denying access to after-school programs for students with exceptionalities, which is a topic that's near and dear to me. I am the mother of a son with Down syndrome who was denied access to a 21C program at the school that he attends. So I just wanted to look a little bit further into the topic and see if other students and parents were dealing with the same issues. So this is the overview of my presentation. Of course, I'm going to introduce the term exceptionalities, the impact on social development, academic consequences, emotional and psychological effects, my interviews of the students and parents, a few statistics, some best practices for inclusion, and then my conclusion. So the effects of denying access to after school. Before I dive into that, I first want to touch on the term exceptionality. So exceptionalities encompass a range of conditions that impact the child's learning, including but not limited to physical disabilities, learning disabilities, emotional disturbances, or giftedness, which each require specific support systems. After school programs do provide crucial opportunities for social engagement, academic reinforcement, skill development, particularly for students with exceptionalities who may benefit greatly from targeted assistance and structured social environments. And pretty much the overview of my issue is that the lack of accessible after-school programs disproportionately affects students with exceptionalities, which leads to missed educational opportunities and diminished social interactions, which do contribute to broader issues of equity in education. And this lack of access can also cause a financial strain on the parents, ultimately limiting their potential and opportunities for success. So let's talk about the impact of social development. After-school programs offer structure environments where students with exceptionalities can develop essential social emotional skills, build peer relationships, and receive individualized support. These programs have been shown to help youth identify and regulate emotions, understand social situations, and find healthy outlets and coping strategies. Without access to such programs, students may experience increased frustration, social isolation, and behavioral challenges. And this lack of support can hinder their ability to form meaningful relationships and develop confidence and life skills. Sometimes without the validation and support found in after-school programs, students with exceptionalities may experience diminished self-esteem due to a lack of social acceptance and recognition of their abilities within their peer group. They may suffer from mental health concerns, from being excluded, um, which include isolation and feelings of inadequacy, and inadequate emotional and social support from after-school programs can prevent students from developing effective coping strategies, leaving them ill-equipped to deal with academic and social pressures they encounter. Some interviews that I conducted I did 8 parents and 4 students, and they expressed that they feel being denied access to after school programs has affected their daily life, their aspirations, and overall educational experiences. Some challenges that they face include logistical challenges, lack of tailored support, systemic barriers that limit inclusion, in enriching after school opportunities like football, baseball, art programs, and so forth. Also, parents also expressed how the lack of their access to before and after school programs did limit their availability with work, which did hinder their financial um, position. They could have taken, different shifts given the extra time that after school, before and after school programs allow. Some statistics show that low participation rates among students with exceptionalities in after school programs did highlight systemic inequalities in access to vital resources. A comparative analysis between typical students and those with exceptionalities really underscores the disparities in access to after-school programs, exacerbating educational inequities across demographics. And then the trends over time have shown stagnation and the decrease in participation rates for students with exceptionalities over time, which raises concern about for future educational outcomes and inclusivity efforts. I do want to touch on a few of those numbers. There are my notes. So a study showed that 72% of students with disabilities received help before or after school or during the summer, compared to 78% of their typically developing peers. And this support is vital for preparing students for life after school, including pursuing higher education and employment opportunities. What I did find is that although programs like ESY are offered to students with exceptionalities, the extra activities and field trips, those are not the same as those students who are typical children. I did also find out that while children with disabilities represent only 13% of the preschool population, they constitute 75% of all early suspensions and expulsions, which go hand in hand with um, this topic that I'm discussing right now. If they were given access to programs like this, they would drastically help them with their um, behavior and just a feeling of belonging with their peers. A lot of times, we do see behavior issues with bullying and them just not feeling a sense of belonging. Some best practices for inclusion in after school programs, strategies for accessibility. So implementing strategies that promote inclusivity, such as universal design principles and adaptive programming, that will ensure that after school opportunities are accessible to all students, regardless of their exceptionalities. We can collaborate with families. Which we will engage families in the design and execution of after-school programming, which will foster a community-driven approach, enabling parents to provide insights and feedback that enhance accessibility and support for their children. And most importantly, training for staff. A lot of the time, we hear that we don't have money to hire additional staff, but if you invest in training for educators and staff that are involved in after-school programs, that equip them with the necessary skills to recognize and meet the unique needs of students with exceptionalities, that can result in more effective programming, in turn allowing them access. And this is my conclusion. Just want to summarize my key points about how denying access to after-school programs for students has far-reaching consequences on social, academic, and emotional levels. I wanted to highlight the urgency for advocacy and systemic change to ensure equitable access to after-school programs for all students, irrespective of their exceptionalities, and proposing the need for ongoing research, policy reforms, because currently in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, there is no legislature that kind of forces schools to include these students in their after school programs. It does cover them throughout the school day, but not in after school, and also any community initiatives aimed at enhancing the inclusion and support of students with exceptionalities in after school settings. And that is my presentation, guys.